I will never forget the exact moment I saw her for the first time. The desert sun beat down on me like a burning slab of metal, the air rippling in golden curtains that trembled before my tired eyes. I had been walking for hours, searching for remnants of the old trade route, but what I found was something completely different. Among uneven dunes and rocks split by centuries of wind, something enormous was shining. I thought it was a mirage. The desert had tricked me before painting ghost cities and false oases that vanished the moment I approached. But this time, the vision did not fade. It stayed there, solid, immense, impossible to ignore. As I moved closer, my boots sinking into the hot sand, my breath caught. Lying before me, half buried beneath chains as thick as palm trunks, was a gigantic woman. She measured around 30 feet, maybe more. Her skin was warm-toned, lightly sun-kissed, with a natural glow that contrasted with the dust covering her body. She wore a torn dress, woven from some fine fabric that must have been beautiful long ago. Her dark hair, long as a waterfall of night, was spread all around her. And the most surprising thing, she was breathing. Her colossal chest rose and fell slowly, as if she had been asleep for centuries. Each exhale pushed the sand around her. My heart pounded against my ribs. I didn't know whether to step back or kneel beside her. I approached a little more. The chains holding her were ancient, rusted, engraved with symbols I had never seen, symbols that seemed to ripple like snakes under the light. Everything indicated that she was no ordinary prisoner. I could feel it, like a hidden pulse in the air. "Hello?" my voice murmured, swallowed by the desert's vastness. She didn't respond, but her eyelids trembled. A chill climbed my spine. I didn't know who she was or why she was chained, but something inside me, a mix of compassion and the curiosity that always got me into trouble, pushed me to act. I got even closer, studying the metal locks. Even though they were enormous, they had been weakened by time. It would only take hitting the right spots. "Easy. I won't hurt you," I said, though I wasn't sure whether I was trying to convince her or myself. I grabbed a metal bar I carried in my backpack, a tool for my explorations. I struck the first shackle. The vibration shot through my entire arm. I hit another, harder, and a reddish spark jumped. The chain cracked open. The sound echoed across the desert like thunder. Immediately, she inhaled sharply. Her eyes opened. I had never seen eyes like those. They were huge, deep, glowing green, holding forests, rivers, and storms inside them. And they were full of confusion and fear. "Who are you?" she asked, her voice resonating like the soft echo of a distant mountain. Despite her size, her tone was delicate, almost mournful. "My name is Daniel," I replied. "I found you here. I wanted to help." She stared at me intensely. I could feel her gaze piercing through all my doubts, my secrets, my intentions. "Do you know what you've done?" she said, lifting her still-chained hands slowly. Her fingers were long and elegant, though weakened by captivity. "You shouldn't have broken that." My stomach tightened. A cold wind swept across the desert, raising a swirling gust that wrapped around us for a moment. The remaining chains vibrated in an unsettling way, as if responding to her awakening. "I freed you," I said, unsure. "I thought you were suffering." She tilted her head slightly. Her gaze grew darker, deeper. "I was," she admitted. "But those chains didn't only hold me. They held something else." My hands grew sweaty. I stepped back, the sand crunched beneath my feet. "Daniel," she whispered, saying my name as if it had been carved in some ancient place. "You've made a mistake." And then, for the first time, I felt the desert watching me. The story was only beginning. When I heard those words, the silence that followed fell over me like a freezing cloak. The wind stopped, the dunes stopped shifting, and even the sun seemed to dim, as if the entire world were holding its breath, waiting for her next sentence. In front of me, the giantess slowly pushed herself upright with the clumsiness of someone who had slept far too long. The broken chains clinked as they slid down her body like metal serpents finally stripped of their purpose. What else did those chains hold back?" I asked, though my voice sounded small even to my own ears. She lowered her gaze, as if searching for words buried beneath centuries of silence. Her green eyes had taken on a darker shade, like a forest that senses an oncoming storm. "They didn't just imprison me," she said. "They were a seal, a barrier, something that contained a part of me that never should have awakened." Her confession struck through me. A part of her, something dangerous, I guessed. Something large considering the woman before me stood over 30 feet tall. "My name is Solera," she continued, "and although I may look like a prisoner, I was the one who asked for these chains. By my own will, to protect all of you. I didn't understand. None of it made sense. Why would a giant woman chain herself in the middle of a desert? What kind of threat could she possibly pose with whatever she kept inside her?" While I tried to sort out my thoughts, Solera placed a hand on the sand and rose fully. The movement sent a cloud of dust swirling around us, dancing as if celebrating her awakening. Now, standing, her presence was overwhelming. Her worn dress fluttered with an almost living grace, revealing a colossal stature wrapped in a melancholic, mysterious beauty. For centuries, she said, I remained asleep to prevent my inner energy from overflowing. My people called it the resonance. It is an ancient, unstable force, a blend of memory, emotion, and power. When it is unleashed, it transforms everything it touches. I swallowed hard. Transforms? In what way? Celira turned her gaze toward the horizon, where the dunes stretched out like unmoving golden waves. I've seen mountains break apart, rivers change course, skies darken for days. But the worst is not what it does to the world, she said, sadness threading her voice. The worst is what it does to those near me. The sand seemed to vibrate faintly beneath my feet. A subtle sensation like the breathing of something enormous, hidden underground. And now that resonance is awake? I asked, dreading her answer. Celira nodded slowly. When you broke the first chain, I felt it stir, as if it remembered it existed. It is not unleashed yet, but it is restless, and it will seek a way out, and not tightened in my chest. Guilt crawled up my throat. I had thought I was saving someone, when in reality, I may have released a storm buried for centuries. Can we seal it again? I asked. There must be a way. Not without a guardian, she replied, her tone heavy. Someone capable of channeling the resonance, of balancing it, of bearing its weight. The last guardian died long before these chains were placed. The small sliver of hope forming inside me crumbled. Then, we're doomed, I whispered. Celira leaned toward me with a gentleness surprising for her size. Her shadow covered my entire body, but in her gaze I found something unexpected, a spark of calm, of determination. Not entirely, she said. There is one possibility, a very small one, but real. What is it? You. I felt the ground drop beneath me, a simple explorer, with no powers, no lineage, no heroic fate. You must be mistaken, I said. There's nothing special about me. You're wrong. Her voice echoed like a mountain whisper, soft, yet impossible to ignore. The resonance chose you the moment you approached me. I can feel it. It's trying to reach you. I stepped back in alarm. Trying to reach me? What does that mean? Celira exhaled deeply. The sand shifted as if responding to her breath. It means that if you stay by my side, if you choose to help me, the resonance will try to fuse with you. Not to destroy you, but to merge, to awaken. A new guardian? I froze. She spoke as if destiny were already written, as if my choice was only to confirm something inevitable. But if you reject it, she added, you'll have to run very far. Because the resonance will spill out of me. And this time, no chains will be strong enough to contain it. The desert fell silent again. And for the first time since I found her, I realized I hadn't just freed a giantess. I had freed something that was watching me from within her. Something that now wanted me. The desert seemed different after Celira stood up. Before, it had been a silent, unmoving ocean. Now every grain of sand vibrated, as if something ancient were waking beneath the surface. I didn't know if it was my imagination, or if the resonance was already trying to reach me from somewhere within its shadows. What I did know was that I couldn't shake the feeling of a strange heartbeat in the air. Like the entire world had a heart that had just remembered how to beat. Celira, I can't be a guardian, I finally said. I don't know anything about your world. I don't know how to control any kind of energy. I don't even know why I came to the desert in the first place. I have no connection to any of this. She watched me with an almost painful patience. Her face so large, it covered half the sky, softened with something resembling understanding. I know. No guardian begins with knowledge. The resonance doesn't choose based on what you understand. It chooses based on emotion, your inner essence. Something in you called to it. I didn't know what to say. What could possibly exist in me that would interest a force capable of breaking mountains? Maybe the doubt in my eyes was too obvious, because Celira lowered herself slowly, bringing her face closer to my height, though she still looked monumental. Her hair fell around us like a dark curtain shielding us from the world. It was a surreal image. Me, a tiny man, and her, a 10-meter woman wrapped in a solemn, mysterious aura. Daniel, she whispered. Despite her size, her voice in that tone was little more than a soft echo between the dunes. When you break a chain that has lasted centuries, you don't do it with physical strength alone. You do it with intention, with resolve. The fact that you approached me without fear, even without knowing who I was, not everyone would do that. I shifted uneasily. I looked toward the horizon, avoiding her immense gaze. Maybe it wasn't courage. Maybe it was recklessness. No, she said, with a firmness that resonated like a deep drum. It was compassion. I opened my mouth to argue, but something stopped me. A warm breath of air swept across my back, and the ground beneath my feet trembled slightly. Salira felt it too. She turned her head to the north, as if hearing something my human ears couldn't detect. The desert is reacting, she murmured. The resonance is awakening faster than I expected. What do we do now? I asked, barely finding my voice. We need to reach a place called Narevron, she answered. There, we might be able to contain what's coming, but there's a problem. Another one. I sighed. The wind rose suddenly, hurling a storm of sand against us like a scorching curtain. Salira protected me instinctively with her hand, forming a massive shield. The storm lasted only seconds, but when it cleared, I felt it, a deep vibration coming from far away. And it wasn't natural. They're searching for us, Salira said. A chill ran through me, who she didn't look at me. Her gaze stayed fixed on the horizon, where dark clouds were beginning to form in a sky that had been clear minutes earlier. The Veil Watchers, ancient keepers of balance between worlds. She drew a long breath, like someone preparing to say something painful. They believed sealing me away was necessary, and if they discover I'm free, they won't try to chain me again. This time, they'll destroy me. I wanted to deny it, but her words carried an irrefutable weight. And me, I asked, afraid to hear the answer. She pressed her hand into the sand, leaving a giant crater. It was her way of containing emotions that, in a body so large, could become dangerous. If they believe you're helping me, they'll do the same to you. The air grew colder. The clouds continued to gather as if a storm were traveling toward us. A long silence enveloped us until I finally gathered the strength to speak. Salira, tell me the truth. The resonance, could it kill me if it tries to merge with me? She finally met my gaze. A massive, vulnerable look, almost human. No, she said. It wouldn't kill you, but it could change you, transform you, and I can't promise you'll still be the person you are now. Her words hit me like a bucket of ice water. I looked at my hands, they were shaking. Then, what do you want me to do? I can't decide for you. Her voice softened, almost pleading. If you stay with me, you'll enter a path with no return. You'll become part of something vast, dangerous, and beautiful. But if you leave, I promise, I will do everything in my power to keep the resonance away from you. It won't pursue you. I swallowed again. The decision felt like it split the world in two. Stay and face a destiny I didn't understand, but that was calling to me. Or leave her behind, alone in a desert that was already beginning to change around her. Something twisted inside me. It wasn't fear, it was connection, as if an invisible cord linked my chest to hers. I took a step toward her, Salira, but before I could finish, a deafening sound tore across the horizon. A column of blue light descended from the sky, distant but intense. Salira went rigid. The Watchers have reached the outer world, she said gravely, and they're coming for us. The time to decide was running out. The blue glow on the horizon looked like a fresh wound torn open in the sky. It was thin at first, just a thread of light stretching down from the clouds. But with every passing second, it grew expanding as if something enormous were pushing through from the other side. Salira didn't move. She only stared at it. And in her expression, there was something I hadn't seen in her before, true fear. The Watchers have already crossed the veil, she murmured. I didn't think they'd come this quickly. The wind blowing from the direction of the light carried a metallic scent, as if it dragged particles of raw energy through the air. Goosebumps rose on my arms. The ground beneath my feet vibrated harder than before this time, with an irregular, almost frantic rhythm, like a heart pounding in fear. Salira, if the Watchers are coming for you, how much time do we have? I asked. She inhaled slowly, and that simple act made the air around us sway with a palpable ripple. Minutes, maybe less. I can't face them like this. Then we have to leave, I said quickly. You said we needed to reach Narevron. Yes, but I won't make it in my current state. She pressed her lips together, and the gesture, though enormous, held a human vulnerability. I've slept too long, my strength is incomplete, and the resonance, it's already stirring inside me. An invisible wave rolled beneath the sand at our feet, as if something moved under us. The air crackled. Salira closed her eyes for a moment, as if trying to contain an internal storm. I understand, I said, my voice steady, despite the frantic beating in my chest. The resonance is accelerating. She opened her eyes. Yes, and if I don't control it soon, it will be worse than the Watchers. The clouds above the blue column began to swirl in a spiral. Silent bolts of lightning curved around that point like luminous serpents. A shiver ran down my spine. The Watchers were already very close. Without thinking, I stepped towards Salira. The wind whipped sand around us in violent bursts, but I didn't move back. She looked at me with surprise. Tell me what I have to do, I said. If the resonance truly chose me, then I'm not leaving you. For a moment, the storm seemed to pause. Salira's green eyes shone with a different kind of intensity. Warm. Unexpected, not power. Emotion. Daniel, are you certain? She asked. If you take this step, there is no return. I'm more certain now than I was a minute ago, I replied. Maybe it's irrational, but I don't want you facing this alone. The air trembled. A blue fissure tore open the sky above us like frozen lightning. Celira reached out her hand, her enormous fingers opened with a delicacy impossible for someone her size. Then, listen carefully. I stepped toward her. Then, another step. Finally, I touched her skin. It was warm and vibrating as if rivers of contained light flowed under its surface. The resonance channels itself through emotional contact, she explained. Not through the body, through the bond. I need you to open yourself to it, to not resist. Not resist. Does that mean I'll feel something? Celira nodded. You'll feel everything. A distant roar ripped across the sky like the distorted call of a massive horn, deep and ancient. The Watchers were announcing their final arrival. The blue light began to split into multiple strands, descending toward the dunes like tentacles from the heavens. Celira lowered her face toward mine until her eyes aligned with my own. Her expression was solemn. Daniel, once the resonance enters you, I can't promise what it will awaken, but I trust you. More than I ever thought possible. My chest tightened. Not from fear, from resolve. Do it, I said. She placed a single finger over my heart. She barely touched me, yet I felt a warm, deep pressure as if it passed through my skin without harming it. And then, it happened. A surge of energy burst from her skin, expanding like a river of amber light. It enveloped me instantly, and I felt my senses stretch open. The desert was no longer just a landscape. I could feel every grain of sand, every current of air, every hidden vibration. My mind opened not to the world, but to her. I saw fleeting memories, a valley filled with crystalline trees, a city suspended on pillars of light, an army of giant beings like her. Falling one by one, Celira gasped, and the resonance exploded between us like a silent lightning bolt. I screamed not in pain, but from the overwhelming intensity of feeling everything at once. The whole sky lit up, the Watchers had arrived, and now, something inside me had awakened. The blue light that fell from the sky split into hundreds of columns descending around us like the bars of a colossal prison. Each column burned without heat, vibrated without sound, and glowed without casting a shadow. It was as beautiful as it was terrifying. Celira instinctively shielded me with her arm, but I was no longer the same man who had walked alone through the desert hours before. The resonance coursed through me. I could feel the sand under my feet as if it were an extension of my skin, the vibrations in the air like breaths belonging to someone else, and inside Celira, a powerful heartbeat calling for balance, searching for me, needing me. She felt it too. I could see it in the expression that crossed her face, a mixture of relief, surprise, and fear. Daniel, you can hear it, can't you? She asked. Her voice reverberated like a soft thunder rolling through my bones. I nodded. I wasn't speaking with words alone. The resonance communicated through emotions that bloomed in my mind like golden sparks. It was an immense force, but now it wasn't a storm, it was a river seeking direction. The columns of light intensified, and emerging between them were the Watchers. They were taller than any human, but not giants like Celira. Their bodies were wrapped in ethereal robes that moved like smoke underwater. Their faces had no defined features, only the suggestion of eyes glowing like distant stars. They walked without leaving footprints in the sand, as if they didn't fully belong to this world. One raised a hand, and its voice spread in every direction, not through the air, but directly into the mind. Celira of the Luminar realm, your prison has been broken. Your awakening endangers the harmony of the worlds. Celira stepped forward, keeping me behind her hand. Her shadow was protective, immense, warm. I did not ask for this, she replied, and I am not alone. He has been chosen by the resonance. A new guardian has emerged. The Watchers turned their faceless visages toward me. I felt their examination like a freezing gust cutting straight through me. Human, you are not yet a guardian. The energy consumes you. If you are not destroyed, you will bring devastation. I swallowed hard. It was difficult to stay firm under their presence. But the resonance did not tremble. It held me from within, like a luminous hand pressed against my chest. He will not bring devastation, Celira said firmly. He is balancing the energy. I can feel it. The Watchers didn't respond immediately. It was as though they were calculating, measuring, comparing possibilities across an entire universe. Then, the one who had spoken first extended its hand toward me. The blue light began to curl into its palm as if it were absorbing the very essence of the sky. If you wish to prove you can contain the resonance, human, show it now. I felt the energy inside me stir. It was like an ocean responding to a strange moon. It could overflow, or it could obey me. I closed my eyes, the world didn't fade. On the contrary, everything sharpened. I heard wind shifting distant dunes, felt Celera's shadow shielding me, sensed the metallic scent emanating from the watchers like the echo of ancient storms. And I saw within myself a heart that wasn't physical, made of golden light and memories that weren't mine. A power that did not demand dominance, only direction. I took a deep breath. The resonance breathed with me. I shaped it in my mind not as lightning, not as an explosion, but as something peaceful, a warm, steady sphere that pulsed in harmony with my own heart. When I opened my eyes, golden light gathered in my palm. It wasn't violent, it wasn't dangerous. It was a promise. The watchers froze. The silence that followed was different from any before. It was recognition. Finally, one of them spoke. Balance is possible. The second added, Narration must be reached. Only there will the guardian complete his bond. And the third. Celera is placed under your protection and human judgment. Celera let out a breath that caused the ground to tremble softly, as if the world itself sighed with her. The blue light of the watchers began to fade, rising like lanterns returning to the sky. The columns vanished, the clouds parted, the wind returned to its natural flow. And then we were alone again. She looked at me, a gaze so vast it felt like it bridged the distance between two worlds. Her eyes no longer held fear, only gratitude and hope. Daniel, you did it. Her voice trembled softly. You're the guardian I never thought I'd see again. Something inside me settled, like a massive gear finally locking into place. I guess I can't go back to my normal life now, I said with a tight smile. Celera smiled to an immense, warm smile that lit up the dunes. Then she extended her hand toward me, resting it on the sand so I could climb up. No, but you won't be alone on this journey. I looked at her enormous hand, then at the horizon where Narration awaited, and finally at my own palm, where a faint trace of golden resonance still glimmered. I stepped forward, because some stories aren't chosen, they choose you. Let's go, I said. Celera tilted her head gently. Together. As I climbed into her hand, the sun rose behind us, illuminating the beginning of a path that would change not just our destiny, but perhaps the future of the world. And just before taking my first step onto her shoulder, I thought about those who would one day hear me tell this story. If you enjoyed this story, subscribe to the channel and leave a like. It helps us keep bringing you more enchanting tales like this to brighten your day. And tell us in the comments which city in the world you're listening from. See you next time.